Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the Sunday Roundtable. I am Nita, your host, along with Brother Patrick McCarthy, Will Rattigan, who joining us shortly, and I expect Las Crawford and Mr. Herb Nelson to join us. Patrick, this this week in Jamaica, man, the politics is going rapid.
Yeah,
Rapid,
yeah, the people are
It's-
stirred up.
Yeah, we're shooting up a nation while we're not sure what that is about. But before I get into that, you see, I want to remind you that tomorrow mark 50 years since the American government engineered a coup in Chile, overthrew Salvador Allende in 1973, September 11. And after that, we see him coming to the fore the military powers in Bolivia, Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina. In this new period, we're not seeing that. What we have seen the military sort of retreat back to the camps and now engage. When they do come on the road, they're talking about drugs, like in the case of Bolivia and Colombia and what have you, dealing with the drug trade. However, in the Caribbean, we have seen our civilian leadership manifest tendency like authoritarian, we see action and wholeness. I want to show you something. I want to share with you something that I want to share this thing with you. This is this is Prime Minister Holness. You see the headline,
Yeah,
Patrick?
yeah, man,
Can you see the headline of this thing I'm sharing?
yeah, man.
This is
I see it.
Holness reacting to Bunting. Arguing that is use of
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
SOE and other things, manifest. I said to myself, if this man have to defend himself, tell the people that he's not a dictator, then Jamaican people say, if I'm not so, it's close to so. So let me ask you this: you think that we Jamaican should be thinking about a wholeness dictatorship? Because we
Well,
see the way since he made this statement. This is in June. We have seen this. This is in June of 2020. This is when this was published. And since that time, we have seen the way he dealt with the DPP, that process. It's like he just ram it through one. In addition to that, we see the militarization of this Jamaican constabulary force. We see more army man play much broader role in the affairs. What do you think? Should we be worried?
well, my personal reaction to that is really a situation where I wouldn't say it's a dictatorship, but certainly it will want to give that appearance because where we are right now, like you just mentioned the milestone in terms of 50 years and what imperialism did 50 years ago, right? And interestingly, the pattern now seems to be moving in a different direction, because what we're seeing now is we're seeing situations arise not only in Jamaica, but we have the situation in Haiti, we have the situation, in parts of the African continent, particularly places like Niger and Gabon,
In North
where,
Africa, yeah. French,
yeah,
French, francophone. What
right,
was them called?
yeah, in a sub-Saharan Africa, where you find what's happening is, the pattern is, people really deciding to really take action, right? Whether they take action through the military or they take action through, public protests and so on. And even in the Jamaican situation, we're looking at where people are beginning to understand more what's happening and realizing that the government of Jamaica is on a trajectory where they clearly, right, are in over their head with the job, right, that they were elected to do. And as a result, what they have chosen to do is to line their own pockets. And it becomes more and more evident, right? And then when them try to cover up on that, then what happens is that them start making demands to salary increase and all kinds of things, ridiculous demands, right? Which basically is trying to put more pressure on the people, put more pressure on the Jamaican economy, rather than working to really improve the livelihood of people, right? Particularly the ones most disenfranchised. And we get all the signs there. Last a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the statements of the Bank of Jamaica president and all of that.
Yeah.
And the whole point is that people's people's eyes are opening up to what's happening, and they are beginning to respond. Right? They are beginning to make it clear, right, that they are not comfortable with what's going on. And not only are they not comfortable with what's going on, but they're not prepared to just sit back and allow things to continue the way it has been going on for some time now. Right? So, of course, Holness is going to start to feel the pressure because he's watching. He's watching the reaction. He's watching, how people respond to all the foolishness they do. All the corruption, the stealing of money from education, the stealing of money from healthcare, whatever it may be. You know, people are responding and they're watching, right? So there's cause to concern on their part, right? They're the ones that are worried, not the people, right? People really are trying to eke out them a livelihood as best they can right now, but at the same time, right, they are understanding why the pressure keeps building, right? And this is the danger part for the government, right? This is what gives them cause to worry.
Radigan,
Yeah.
do you think we should worry, Jamaican people should worry about a possible Holness dictatorship in developing to a dictator with support from the army and other elements?
Well,
Because we have seen his behavior, his actions, him ram things through whenever time he wants it, and if he's allowed, it seems as if he would surround himself with military men. Should we be worrying about that, Jamaican people? Radigan,
all right. Now, in terms of people being worried about a dictatorship, oh, 1 second. One.
because the way this man is, even with the shooting right now, when I heard about the shooting and I started to look at this stuff, you see, my brother, honestly, the first thing that came to mind, you know what was? The rice tag, when the Nazis burned down the rice tag, the parliament, and blame it on others. Do you remember that incident? Patrick, Patrick, Oh man, it seems like we're having some interference.
Yeah.
Patrick, Patrick,
Yeah,
you're
man.
at it.
Yeah. Patrick look like him have problems here.
I don't know. Just go ahead. Go ahead. Do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think we should worry about this?
Well, look, you know, based on everything that we've seen so far, we should we can't rule anything out. We can't rule anything out because we boast about a liberal democracy in Jamaica, right? And yet, we talk about freedom of the press, freedom of expression. Yet, when you come out and you criticize the prime minister, you are subjected to um, official force, and we've seen many instances of that. And when you have something like that, what that do is that put a wet towel over people's enthusiasm to come out and criticize the government because it's like an example. It's like an object lesson. It's like saying, "See what going to happen to you if you do it." And so people have this fear that we can't really criticize the government because if we criticize the government, this is what will happen to us. Once you get to that, once you get to that point, it's hard to say, well, then we shouldn't be worried about anything, because all we use labels. That's what they're doing now. They're saying, oh yeah, we have the constitution and we're a liberal democracy. You have the freedom to do this and the freedom to do that. You don't. Well, you have the freedom to do it, but there are consequences, right? Once you do it, then they come after you and all of that. So yeah, I would be worried. I really would be worried. Question is, what do we do about that worry? Do we just sit back and just worry, or do we say, okay, you know what, we see what's going on. Let's take some affirmative steps to ensure that we hold the government accountable to the rule of law, good governance, to the Constitution. And if we can't do that, then we're like cowering in fear in our own house. And at that point, you're not free. If you can't criticize your government without fear of reprisal, then I would be concerned. You know,
Patrick, you don't seem to concern Patrick.
No, I look at it this way. We The way in which we function pretty much is based on what we think we know, right? Based on our experiences then. The tendency it has been one where we carry a legacy of a savior mentality, looking for somebody to save us, looking for somebody to lead us out of where we are. Right? And that's one of the reasons why we have this tendency of looking to the government as leaders. Politicians are never leaders, right? They are never leaders. You elect them to power, and when you elect them to office, then it's a whole different ball game. They do as they like, right? And this is what frustrates people because they have this tendency of looking for leadership at all times, right, out of the government. And the government has never taken on a role of leading, right? They have taken on a role of ruling the public, right? Ruling the people, right? Making laws, right, which dictate to them, how they should or shouldn't live, right? And it's by and large does not help people to understand things any better for themselves and in order to move forward, what needs to be done. So what happens is that people are coming more and more to the reality
Can you
where
hear me?
they are frustrated. Yes, sir, we
Yes,
hear you.
yes, yes.
I can't hear.
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah, people coming to the state now where they are more frustrated with what's taking place with government and so on. So the worry is not one where they worry because the government is taking us through turbulent times where things are not as good as we want them to be, but at the same time, there's hope. The fact of the matter is that the government is taking us through a situation where what we are experiencing is them lining the pockets, them not doing the job, right, that they were elected to do, right, and therefore not leading us anywhere, right? So this is where I look at it differently in terms of worrying. I am saying that the government is the one who really should be more concerned about being worried, and not the people. Because the people, once you understand what's going on, you just need to know what action is to be taken, to correct the situation. So it's not one to worry. It's not a situation to worry. It's a situation which is really more a call to action, a call to involvement in the change that needs to take place.
That's going to take some leadership. Herb,
Okay, you can
Herb,
hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Do
Okay,
you,
I had a problem first with the video, then the audio, but I'm good
all
now.
right, but you're now here with, yeah.
Yes,
Do
yes.
you, Herb, we're talking, we're discussing the question. Do you think the Jamaican people should worry about a possible Holness dictatorship?
Holness does not. He lacks the how can I say, the audacity first and foremost, as well as the there's some people that have the prowess, like a Michael Manley, right? Ime de Siaga. And Holness is nowhere near those two people. So I cannot even begin to think of him as a strong man, right? He does a lot of backroom deals and a lot of side shuffle stuff, right? It gets a lot of people upset, and he's corrupt. We know that. But the bottom line with him is nobody's gonna follow him into that. He doesn't want to spark any kind of uprising that he can't handle. He might be able to handle West Kingston, but to handle a wholesale strike and uprising across the country, no, he's not ready for that. He's not even prepared for it. You've seen leaders in different countries who motivate people, who, when they do a call to action, people answer, right? Which fraction is he going to call to action? Other than the only fraction I know you may have some influence with is private sector, PSOJ. But when it comes to an armed fraction that would proliferate across Jamaica, no, I don't see. I don't see.
Well, Herb, here's where I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that he has control over the army and he has control over the police. And if you look at some of the appointments that he's made over the last several years, it's all military people, and he placed them in strategic positions. And if they have the loyalty that he expects from them, then I think we should worry, because I'm not worried about him calling up civilian forces or anything like that to fight to support him in that endeavor. I'm more worried about him. I'm more worried about him issuing instructions to the military and to the police to curb what would be legal critique of the government. People want to demonstrate, if people want to sit in, sit out, have meetings, whatever. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that and then if you look at the way how he's financed the military, because their budget is secret. We don't know how much money is spent, what it's spent for. We hear rumors about tanks coming in and this and that and that. So that's where my worry is, that he could command the military, do certain military and the police. I'm less worried about the police because of
I was gonna pinpoint that he does not have the wholesale support of the police.
true.
He has the chairman locked up, and the chairman influences at least 90 or more percent of the police force, right? So this could be an attempt to coerce these people into following the high command in the police force. But the high command in the police force is disdained by the very middle managers that they have, the superintendents, the inspectors, right? They don't trust them. So as long as you don't control the police, which we know numbers at least 3 times the number that's in the army, the police is the one that has to enforce the law, and who would have the law on their side. There's no way he, as defense minister, could declare martial law unless the country was being overrun. You can't
But
just declare martial law because people want to demonstrate. You know, so
but
for him to pull something off like that, he would definitely need the police in on it. Otherwise, the police would then have the right to arrest the military members who want to go rogue, right? And yes, he does have the 3-star general up there with him, and he has General Anderson up there with him. But that doesn't guarantee him anything.
the other thing too is, how much of an army does Jamaica really have as well? I mean,
4 or 5 thousand people.
they, they,
That's it.
they don't have anything that can take on the rage of our people if we
No,
really
no,
decide to rise up.
and they wouldn't want to either.
Exactly. Right?
I,
And,
I,
and,
I
and,
would.
and like you said, the police force is already bursting at the seams
Yeah,
because they haven't fragmented yet, but they show signs that this can easily happen.
yep,
Right? We
yep,
gotta remember too. These the rank and file military and rank and file police, their families contending with the same things that we talk about,
yep,
right? They're contending with the same hardships, the same bitter experiences, and so on, right? So what is going to happen is they will be faced with that crossroads where, okay, do I continue to obey and play along, right, as if I'm simply doing a job which is meaningless to me and my family, right? Or is it a situation where, this is time to call it quits? I remember we were talking about people leaving the police force and all kinds of things happening before,
hmm
right? These are not things that just happen in isolation. They happen for a reason, you know. So it's all kinds of dynamics are gonna play out, right? And Holness don't have the capability to hold that together. So that is why I said there's more for him to worry about than
Individually,
anybody else.
individual, but what about an alliance with the army, police, and narco? Those individuals who are involved in narco trafficking. What about an alliance like that?
Yeah, I don't see narco traffickers necessarily choosing sides because they enjoy the confusion. While everybody is fighting each other, they would be making a lot of good moves and moving a lot of product, right? And that means the police wouldn't be concentrating on them. Neither would the army, nor even the Coast Guard, for that matter, right? Because if there's upheaval in Jamaica, there's a lot of people have a decision to make. Do I stay home and protect my family, or do I go out and enforce the law, or follow what the leader wants us to do? And then if you have questions among the hierarchy, these are scenarios they should be running, right? As part of some different command post exercise and stuff like that. They should be running these scenarios because it could happen.
Well,
If
let me
you
ask, let me ask all of you this. Are you guys saying that the tendency that he manifests just now, that we witness, will not expand and become dominant patterns if this man win the election, if he's forming the next government of the country? Is it
If who wins the election?
Holness?
If he wins the election fair and square, then hey, he has the
Those
power.
tendencies, those anti-democratic tendencies which him show, you think we're going to see less of that or more?
Leopard don't change their spots.
I share Rattigan.
Well, here's how I look at it. If he wins the election fair and square, that's a mandate. You don't have to do nothing else. If he win the election fair and square, what you gonna do? 'Cause what that tells you, whether it's 30% who voted or 50% or whatever, what that tells you is that the people who voted are with him. If that's if you want fair and square. So when you say, I'm just looking at the title now, should Jamaicans worry about a Holness dictatorship? What do you mean by dictatorship?
One man is surrounded by the army because there's a tendency in Jamaica right now, and Michael Mann came to office on that basis. The hero and the crowd. We have in Jamaica the pastor, I lead the shepherd, I lead the flock, and different. There's a strong tendency along that line, and I think Holness know this because he learned it from Eddie Siaga.
I don't think.
You know this, the one man downship thing and different.
Yeah,
But
but
that's not a dictatorship.
yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think right. The Constitution as flawed as it is, right? I don't think it lends itself to him being a dictator. Just the system that they have in the way. I don't think what it will lend itself to is him abusing certain things, right? Like with the SOE and things of that nature. But I don't think, in terms of him just taking over the country and just suspend everything and say, I'm in charge. And I don't see that as being part of his nature. And I don't see that working within the system either, because that wouldn't be good for business. And, the private sector, they're the driving force behind a lot of what goes on in Jamaica. Bottom line for them, any business person is profit. And if they see if this guy start making those moves, that's going to affect what we do, then it's going to be a problem. Then you also have to think about outside pressures. How that look to the community, the Caribbean community? How would that look to the benefactor up north? How would that look? How would that play? They would have to sign on to something like that, I think, for him to say, I'm going to make, because that's a bold move for him to say, I'm going to take over. And like you and Patrick said, that's not within his DNA either, and he doesn't have that effect. He doesn't have that appeal, right? So if that's what you're talking about, dictatorship, then I'm not worried about that. If when you talk about dictatorship, you're talking about him suspending certain rights and freedoms, but try to do it legally, right? Not just say, the hell with the Constitution, I'm taking over, then if you talk about the suspension of certain things, then yes.
But SOE suspends certain rights, right?
SOE does, but here's the problem. SOE does it, but they can make a legal argument for it. That's what I'm saying. He's not suspending the Constitution. And when you say dictatorship, to me, that's what I'm thinking about. Where this, because that's the construct within which governments work. And a lot of times when you hear about a dictatorship, is where somebody comes in and says, this thing is preventing me from doing what I want to do, suspending the Constitution, and now the country is in chaos, and so you need a strong man to step in and rule things. I don't see him as that kind of person. I don't see him as suspending anything. What they might try to do, which I don't think is going to happen, is they might try to put some provisions within the Constitution that they're trying to reform right now. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if you put that inside there and you fail at the ballot box, then the opposition might come in and use that against you. So I really don't. I'm not worried about him being a dictator. I mean, he may display some tendencies, but that's about it. I don't see him being a fully blown dictator. Like when they talk about dictator, like some of the people that in recent history that we can say, yeah, these people are dictators. Like like a Saddam Hussein, for example. I don't see him being that kind of person where he exerts such, the control that he had over Iraq. I don't see him exerting that over Jamaica.
All right, gentlemen. Let us hope that he doesn't go down this path. Another issue I want to discuss is
Hey,
lethal
Mike.
defense. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I just said I sent you guys a note a while ago, right? The Cuban Revolution was 82 men that sailed from Mexico into Cuba and initiated the Cuban Revolution. So if 82 men would be, how can I put it? That could be a platoon or two platoons of officers of the JDF. If they heard of a plot by, say, Holness and Rocky Mead and the rest of them to do something like that, it would only take two platoons of men going down there while everybody's in session in Gardner House or wherever they are and seizing control. One could be at the office of the Prime Minister, one platoon, and the other platoon could be down at Gardner House. And they could seize power that way and intervene in any such plot. As a matter of fact, you could have your next leader coming out of that group. So, you have to think.
Well,
Once things go in motion, you don't know where it's going to stop. Go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The thing is that, as both as Wilson as Herb said, we have to be clear what we're talking about when we talk about dictatorship. One, right? A lot of times what we call dictatorship is not dictatorship, right? There's a tendency, primarily run by the US, right, where they throw out terms, and just use these terms in general ways, and people apply it or it suits them, right? But it doesn't really define anything, right? It's like when they use anti-communist terms or, anything like that, or label people certain ways and all of that, which doesn't really mean much. Dictatorship is one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
What it takes to set up a dictatorship, as Herb, tried to illustrate that, in cases where you see, right, there's an uprising and they flip the government and, somebody come to power who is able to maintain control,
Mm-hmm.
right, and move things further, right? It requires real sophisticated organization, highly strategic and well executed, right? We don't even have to go into the dynamics as to how it is done, but it requires tremendous, right, work. And Holness not up to them kind of capability. Holness already over him head with the job he's supposed to be doing. What confuses the situation for Holness is that Holness is more focused on lining in his pocket than on trying to do the job, right? And as that happens, he faces strong pushback, right? And as he faces strong pushback, is because people are understanding his own motives. People are understanding more and more his motives, and that's what he becomes concerned about. And then it gives the impression that him is like a dictator because, him trying to bend the law or him can't bend it, right? And do little things to try to hold on to, his position. But his days are numbered. It's clear, right? His days are numbered. And the more him do this foolishness, is a deeper way sink himself in a hole, because it might turn out that it lead to a situation where even after him leave office, he might come under investigation where he might have to face certain consequences.
He may have to leave the country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So him is the one who is in a position to really be worried, right? Because how he's behaving is really senseless, right? You can't be
Personally,
you can't be living on the high hog and people suffering, right? And at the same time, it is clear that you're not doing your work.
Well, it is clear to a lot of people, right? People with sense, even with people with little bit of education, it's clear to them that the man has lined his pocket to the point where they have been ignored. It's been costing them. He's doing everything at their expense. And I don't see how he can operate a populist movement to take over when in fact the very people he's asking to support him might not think very highly of him. And the only time he's going to find that out is when he asks them to support him in such a movement.
Mhm.
And they're going to make him come up short.
gentlemen, I think in our history, you have individuals like Holness, you know, but our savior is we have a strong tradition at democratic practicing democracy in our country, you know. So people like Holness, they too will pass in terms of the pressure. But I worry, and why I worry is let us look at Rattigan progress, the reaction that he generate since he start speaking out, you know, and I worry how when it get to the tire hit the road and when Rattigan program start show some result, how these guys will react. There's a tendency in Jamaica which whether you're overseas or not, people just don't want you talk. Them allow you to talk, but when it comes to certain issues, you have to see them blind. You have to see them blind. You're not a choice, but you have to see them blind. You know? So I hear the brethren them not concerned, but I see some incident which sort of draw parallel in my head space, you know. You follow the discussion, the issue around a speech made by the PMP General Secretary and Nationwide, we call Nationwide also an incubator for the government.
Yeah.
And after that, you saw what happened, the shooting up at the Nationwide office.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what the forces did before they came to power. They set the parliament on fire and then they went out in a mass force and persecute a lot of people, imprison a lot of people. So I don't think we should underestimate Holness and the forces around him.
You know, one of the things I
So I
noted,
don't think I think we should yes put the trust in the democratic tradition or whatever, but sleep with one eye open.
Yeah, but
Because these go
Omar,
ahead.
the issue is, sorry to interrupt you, Herb. The issue is dictatorship. What you're saying that he's capable of doing, we all agree that yeah, him can order, him can talk to him cronies, then him can talk to this person, that person, whatever, and get them lock up a few people and and do certain things, patrol an area, calling off an area, provide um, have people confined to a certain place, certain time. Yeah, him can do that. But I'm talking about dictatorship now. And then when you talk about dictatorship, what out is it a military dictatorship? Is it a political dictatorship if there's such a thing? Is it a police state? I mean, all of these things, those are very, very serious to me. I don't
And can he sustain it?
yeah, I don't see him pulling those things off at all. I don't, you know, even though you might go in and you might go in and start feed some people, and then you know how it is, people hungry, and so if you have the power of the person where you have the ability to feed or not to feed, and then you give them certain directions, of course people are going to succumb to it and do certain things, because those people, you know, the issue is principle versus hunger. And him I said, no, hunger go win out all the time. If me hungry, I'm gonna give me something. Most people are gonna say, well, right now I'm gonna take do it in what I do. Rather than say I'm a principled person and I can't deal with it. So I'm not, that's what I'm saying. I'm not worried about him becoming a dictator. People, like Patrick said, people use the word and the term has been bandied around. Yeah, he's acting, but is he really acting like a dictator? You're saying that there's a possibility that he could do something like this. I just don't see it happening. What I see happening is that him use the police for do certain things and you know influence the vote a certain way. But at the end of the day, you have to remember there's a force more powerful than him, and that force is the PSOJ. Them guys are on the kind of business people, and if them withdraw them support and say no, that's the end of it. That's the end of it. So him answer to him answer to somebody, and that somebody is PSOJ. No matter how you slice it, if PSOJ say we're not going to support you because if you continue to do this, change correction almost immediately. So
Lastly, trying us, we've been looking at the issue of a possible Holness dictatorship. You just conversation lead, but I want to hear your take on it. Is this a possibility? Is it real possibility that after this man win the election, that that anti-democratic tendency might become stronger, start taking over, the country and what have you? Is this a possibility, my brother? Last.
Well, it depends. You hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you, last.
You hear me?
Yes, yes.
You hear me now?
Yeah, yes, last. Go ahead.
Yeah, we hearing you last. Everybody here.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on what whoever is talking about with the dictatorship and anti-democratic. I mean, I don't think if people thinking about a kind of dictatorship where the government try to take away all the rights that people have, that's not on the card. I mean, we have experienced situations in the past where, I mean, governments, they use, they kind of go on the edge. They use the democratic process in a way that they go out on an edge. They try to use it to the extreme that they can go and still remain democratic, right? Like they can enforce certain, make the police act in more aggressive ways, like against demonstrations and protests and all that. But not dictatorship in terms of, say, they take away the rights of the people where they can't go out and actually protest and have a say in the political process. I don't think that's on the card.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, I want to shift the discussion from Holness to the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. Radigan, I don't know what's happening. Seeing that them fighting you tooth and nail, bro. I look at your program yesterday and it's like some forces just don't want you to get the word out. Radigan.
yeah, sorry about that. No man, I get some news about Andre, and it no nice at all, you know.
Oh, man.
Anyway, go ahead. You were saying that this seems to me I get a fight.
Yeah, since you take this move this thing to another level, what's going on, bro?
Oh, well,
Can you tell us?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I also
Go
see
ahead.
that you're making headway with Miss Johnson. What's going on?
No, man, Miss Johnson is finished as far as I'm concerned. She should just turn in her resignation. And this is a reflection on the prime minister because he's the one who nominated her or got her in the Senate, and he's the one who installed her in this position. And she has been a complete embarrassment and disgrace uh, to the country, to her family, to the country, and to the region. Because what I've done is not make allegations. I've stated facts. And if you watch a program yesterday, you saw where I put up the documents, and essentially what's going on is she in a nutshell, she got services in support of her candidacy for the position of Secretary General of the Commonwealth. She got services, and according to the law in Jamaica, those services that she received, they came in as gift. They came in as a gift, and you're supposed to account for that with the Ministry of Finance. You're supposed to account for that with the Integrity Commission, and you're supposed to account for that with the tax authorities. She didn't do any of that. She didn't know. In fact, she filed and didn't claim any of that. So that's a false filing, and she should have known because the Financial Administrative and Audit Act, it says basically that you're on notice that these things are supposed to be done. So you cannot come and plead ignorance because it says the permanent secretary, the minister, everybody's supposed to know about these laws. So you can't come and plead ignorance. But if she had done that in the beginning, if she had said, you know what, Mr. Rattigan, she didn't even have to call me. She just say, hey, you know what?
I messed up.
Yeah, if she had said I made a mistake, right, and so I just want to do an amended filing, that would have been the end of it. I would have moved on to somebody else. But she doubled down. And in the court, when I filed a lawsuit, she responded, and in her affidavit, she said she didn't get any gift, she didn't get any benefit, and that the only beneficiary of the services provided to her, the only beneficiary, the government of Jamaica. So that's a red herring because the statute, the law doesn't talk about benefit. It talks about receiving gifts, and that's what you must do when you get a gift. It does nothing about benefit. So that's a red herring. But what we did was we went down that trail with her because we want to clean up everything to make sure that she don't have no defense. So in her affidavit, she essentially said, I didn't file because I didn't get a gift and I didn't get any benefit. The government got the benefit. Up to now, we don't know who got the gift, right? So we went down the trail and said, okay, government, you tell us now if you got the gift or you got the benefit. And so far, we have heard back from Office of the Prime Minister, Office of the Cabinet, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. Every single one of them, bar none, they said, no, we have no documentation evidencing that we got a gift or we got a benefit from the services that she received. So she has no defense now. Where's she gonna go now? Because the question is, who got the gift? And Finn Partners made it abundant clear in their filing with the U.S. government that she was the one that they provided the consultancy services to, paid for by private sector in Jamaica. No, if you didn't pay for it and the government didn't pay for it, what do you call that? That's a gift. That's a donation, gift or donation. And by the way, the statute uses those two terms interchangeably, gifts, donations. But if you never pay for it and the government never pay for it and you accepted that, not only that, wouldn't you ask somebody come to your doorstep and say, listen, we know you're running in this election and we want to give you services. Wouldn't you ask who's paying for this? And can I two things I would ask, who's paying for this and can I accept this? And that's why you have a permanent secretary. That's why you have the Ministry of Finance, because in fact, the Ministry of Finance says if you have any questions regarding the provisions of the administrative, the Financial Administrative and Audit Act, come to us and we will straighten it out for you. And they never did. So she admitted that she didn't file. And what she's saying is that I got no services, I got no gift, which is nonsense. Nonsense. So what I'm going to do this week is on the website, the one Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation.org website, we're going to put up every single piece of document that we have documents here, and here's what we're going to put up. We're going to put up her own interviews where she said out of her own mouth that her campaign was financed by the Jamaican government only, and that she has nothing to hide. There are no secrets. We're going to put that up. We're also going to put up my lawsuit. Then we're going to put up her response, her signed, sworn response. Then we're going to put up documents received from the U.S. government, filed by Fin Partners, talking about their relationship with her and what they did for her. And finally, we're going to put up the responses from all the agencies in Jamaica saying that we never received any gift and we never received any benefit. End of case.
But you have a court date coming up, right?
Next month.
And that will rule. What is your expectation? That a final judgment will be?
Well, the judge already raised the specter of standing, saying that, she could see an issue with standing, that I don't have standing because I'm not living in Jamaica, and therefore I shouldn't have any issues. I shouldn't have any issue with with what's going on, which is nonsense. So we're going to fight that. But you know what? There's no statute of limitations on this. So even if the judge rules against me, despite the overwhelming evidence, right? Despite the fact that I'm a member of the diaspora, despite the fact that I'm a Jamaican citizen still, and despite the fact that the Constitution says nobody can take away my Jamaican citizenship, I have to go and disavow it.
Denounce it.
Yeah, and I haven't. Yeah, and denounce, and I haven't. I renounced, and I haven't renounced. Yeah, I haven't renounced. So I'm still a Jamaican citizen. And so what you're saying is that if you live outside the country, you shouldn't have any interest in what's going on inside the country, which is nonsense. Nonsense. So I'm waiting for the judge to come with that, because we're going to appeal that. But even after we appeal, we have people in Jamaica who are willing now to step forward and file. So that issue, if they raise an issue of standing, the people in Jamaica, they can't raise that issue against them. So we have people, because at the end of the day, and people ask, in fact, you know what's interesting? When her candidacy was announced, she got overwhelming support from private sector, from government, from all quarters. Since I start raising the issue, not a single person has come out publicly to support her. Not one. And that speaks volumes. The best
that can also be politics.
Right, but here's the thing: you cannot defend the indefensible, because now I'm not saying that Michael told me, that Patrick says, and Herbert told him that last heard from his neighbor that she didn't file. It's not like this. It's her own words saying I didn't file, and it's a government saying that, and it's the U.S. government saying that she was the one who got the gift, and it's the Jamaican government who said we didn't get any gift and we didn't get any benefit. Open and shut. So this is not even open politics. It's open and shut. But they're not supporting her. The best I've heard so far in terms of support for her: 3 politicians, two members of parliament, current members of parliament, high ranking. They said the best they said to me is, "Boy, you beat up the woman you just did." And I said to them, "So well, tell me that factually. I'm off base. Tell me that what I'm saying is a lie." They can't say it. They can't.
There's even more to it than that, too, Ratty. And it is that, of course, what you have been highlighted most of all is the legalities around it, right? All the illegalities that have taken place in terms of her seeking office and handling funds and all of this stuff. But the other factor, the bigger factor, I think, right, setting aside the legal side, is the picture that has been painted of the whole diplomatic standing of Jamaica in all of this, right? And in terms of she and the office that she actually holds, right, and how that is being handled and all of that. Even when it comes to dealing with you as a Jamaican living abroad, right? Because what you're basically saying is that the Jamaican government has no responsibility to Jamaicans who reside overseas, right? I mean, there's a much more serious and bigger picture here, which is one of the reasons I think why she has lost support more than anything else. She has lost support certainly because of the legal side, but in terms of the overall picture,
right? The arguments she's raising,
right, which we have not really spoken much to because we have been more focused on the legalities and she not having any legal standing. But that was a big issue. I mean, the only thing we can say is a good thing she never really got elected. Because can you imagine what we would be looking at?
Right. No, you're right. The issues she's raised regarding the whole diplomatic thing, it's problematic because first of all, there is, as you said, it's a big issue because you have the issue of CARICOM where they had a consensus that they were going to support somebody else, and then at the last minute Jamaica withdrew their support and said we're going to send our own candidate, and that trust you can see it now filtering throughout other issues in the Caribbean where people are saying we don't trust Jamaica, we just don't trust Jamaica, and for good reason. Then with her saying that, the idea about standing, that he doesn't have standing because he doesn't live in Jamaica, right? Then
Ratty, I would love to see a judge rule on that issue of standing, because what message would that send to the diaspora, the Jamaican diaspora? I'd love to see a judge. I'd love to hear a judge rule that you don't have any standing because as a Jamaican, you're not undeciled, right? And you don't renounce it. You don't renounce your citizenship. I mean, what message would that be sending for any judge or any politician for real rule on something like that against the diaspora? I think they put themselves in a big deep hole.
Well, here's the thing about it. The thing about it is that election is coming up, right? And what they get, I don't know how much money they get, but they get money from the diaspora. And can you imagine telling this if a judge said, no, the diaspora, they have no say in what goes on here in Jamaica legally. We courts won't entertain anything from them because they live overseas. Can you imagine the message? They wouldn't want that message coming out either. That would be devastating.
That's what I think.
That's the argument they're making.
I think the judge probably gonna throw it out. I don't think it will even get to the point of him issuing a ruling.
But you know what? There's a senior politician in a senior advisor, a lawyer for the JLP, who reached out to me and he said to me, listen, what they're talking about is nonsense, because he said they're the ones who come up with this Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, where they said, look, we're reaching out to you guys because you're Jamaicans and there's this extension there. They don't see the umbilical cord has not been cut between us and you guys, right? We're still Jamaicans. And not only that, you guys can come back anytime if you want and set up come back and just, you don't need to establish residency as a Commonwealth citizen would. You just come back because you're Jamaican. So how is it then that they're going to ask you, they're going to create this thing for you guys, they're going to run it, manage it, you're a member of it, and then they say, but when it comes to our politics in Jamaica, we need you to just step aside and just stay out of the way. It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. What I'm hoping for, woman,
send the remittance come.
Send the remittance, right. What I'm hoping is that in the fullness of time, she'll realize what's going on and just step aside. But I'm being told that she's one of the Prime Minister's favorites. She's one of his confidants. And the other thing is that she's regarded as being squeaky clean. So this is frightening to them because they're saying to themselves, oh, wait a minute, if she's squeaky clean and this guy's going after her, what do you think going to happen to us? Plus, you just have to know that this is not the first time they got a gift and didn't declare it. This is not the first time. Cannot be.
I think we can all agree to that. This is not the first time. You see practice practice and behavior and what have you. These guys been doing this thing for a long while. So let us wait until the October court date and see the outcome. Then you have a part before you.
Right.
And
Sorry,
when that,
but
go ahead.
put things about what I'm doing, like putting it on the website so that everybody can see it, is that I'm not under any gag order from any court. And this is not, people need to understand that this is not a case where I'm trying to taint a jury, because this is before one judge. So if they say, well, they put it out there, they're trying to influence the judge. The judges, if a judge makes that argument that, okay, I put a gag order because you're trying to influence me, that's nonsense, right? So I'm under no gag order. I'm under no ethical canon in Jamaica. I'm not licensed to practice in Jamaica. So my lawyer can't do this, but I can. So what I'm doing is, and what I'm doing, I don't want the judge to come out and make an adverse ruling on people say, see, him never have no evidence, him never have no truth. So that's why I'm putting it on the website so people can go and look for themselves. They don't have to take my word for it, because this is a case where you'll hear the minister speaking about her campaign. You'll see her writing about the campaign. You'll see U.S. government fin partner submission about her campaign, and you'll see the Jamaican government response to that regarding her campaign, and then you make up your mind.
Okay. Tell us about the One Jamaica Fund, no? What, where you are?
We have to thank the minister in a left-handed way, and I don't mean it as a disparaging remark to left-handers. We have to thank her in a left-handed way about for the foundation, the One Jamaica Legal Defense.
Yeah, tell us what's happening there.
Her case gave birth.
Thank her for the passive support. Thank her for the passive support.
The passive support and the idea, because what happened is, when I started doing this, the lawsuit against her is funded complete out of my pocket, and then I started looking around and I said, well, wait a minute, there are lots more issues coming out of Jamaica that should be addressed in the court system, and if I identify them and I start doing them, then I'm gonna fall on hard times pretty soon. I can't support all of this out of my pocket. So then I started thinking, isn't there a way that we can actually get Jamaicans to fund a legal strategy against the government for holding them responsible? That actually gave birth to the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. And what the purpose of it is to simply hold government officials, parliamentarians, public servants, and otherwise accountable to the people of Jamaica, not to me, to the people of Jamaica, as far as corruption is concerned and wrongdoings. So we plan to do that through lawsuits. That's one. Two, public relations campaigns. And three, doing deep dives, background investigations, inquiries on parliamentarians suspected of corruption. And we plan to work with law enforcement / intelligence agencies overseas, because the FBI has a mandate to investigate international corruption. So once the banking system has been used, they can get involved, and we suspect that the banking system has been used time and time and time again. So that's where we are. We're asking Jamaicans and supporters of Jamaica to make a contribution of $100. Now, if you cannot afford $100, that's fine. If you can only support $10, we'll take it. If you can afford more than 100, we'll take it. And the board of directors, they will not receive a stipend. They will not receive a salary. It's going to be voluntary work. And by the way, Herb is on the board, so that's what that's what we will be doing. We'll also be,
and the work will be transparent, right?
Exactly, work will be transparent, and the disbursements will be transparent, because on board we already have we already have an accountant, a bookkeeper, and an auditor. Because I explained to them that, look, I want every single penny to be accounted for. I don't want anybody to come and say, hey, them take the money and them do this and them do that. So before we even started, I went out and started, Herb and I actually went out and started putting together a mechanism whereby we are held accountable before we can start talking about holding governments accountable. Because when we come, we want to come with clean hands. You can't go to court with dirty hands and ask the judge to make a decision. That didn't work away there. So we want to make sure that our house is clean first before we go out and start telling people to clean up clean up the house. And Jamaica is our house. So we're cleaning up the organization first, and then we're gonna go after these people. And
I have a question for you and Herb. I noticed you talk about the politicians going after them and what have you. Now tell me this. If a youth in Waterhouse is abused by the police, by a police officer or what have you, can he reach out to the foundation
yes,
to bring that policeman officer?
yes, because you have
How,
state.
how can they do
First,
that?
Herb, you want to talk about the proton and signal?
Yeah.
Not just that, but in terms of people on the ground reaching out to the foundation around issues of human rights violation or what have you.
Yeah,
Does their
look,
organization speak to that?
Michael, the basic thing is there anybody there like an ombudsman or let's say NIA or JAMP that's making the system work by going to the third branch of government, which is the judiciary, right? How many people are utilizing the judiciary to force these people to do their jobs? If it's malfeasance or misfeasance or through whatever means that they're ignoring what's going on, like the DPP ignores something that's obvious and doesn't want to do her job. You don't see NIA and you don't see JAMP going after her in court. But since we are aware of the fact that we can pursue these cases against them in court and get them to comply with the law because the law is on our side. This is what we intend to do. So, in a case where you have some young man in Waterhouse that's having a severe problem with the police, and we ask the young man to complain to the area command, and the area command sit on their hands and don't want to take action. Now you can go after that assistant commissioner in charge of that area command. It's the same thing here. If this judge that Kamina Johnson is gone before, if she's sitting up there making rulings that are incompatible with the law, if there's a way to go after her and to have her suspended or law license suspended by the Bar Association, right? Then once you go after her in that fashion and they suspend her law license, and she can no longer be a judge. She got no license to practice law. So you have different ways to skin a cat. But what you're looking at in a lot of these cases is that there's a lack of integrity and there is collusion, almost to the point of conspiracies forming to stop different people from getting things done.
Okay.
Right? So when you go after folks to get things done and you have the evidence that we can dig up, we go to some extraordinary lengths to dig up this evidence. And we ask people to submit evidence to us. And in order to submit evidence, we ask them, look, take out a Proton Mail account. It's free. It has end-to-end encryption. And you can go ahead and send us the information, upload it into Proton, and send it to us. Something else they can do is to take out a Signal text messaging account. You just load that from the Google store. You load it and it's activated. We can also send them a message that they can click on and activate the Signal account also. Once they have that Signal account, it is a lot more secure than WhatsApp. I sent something out the other day showing how the National Guard here in the US was spying on people through their WhatsApp. WhatsApp was so secure. Why are these guys allowed to spy on them through WhatsApp? So the bottom line here is Signal used by Elon Musk, and he has proclaimed how secure Signal is for his business, right? You can use Signal to send us information as well.
Okay.
So we have the two methodologies, text and email. And of course, there's always phone call, and you can use Signal to call us. Signal
Okay.
to Signal, it is no charge, just like WhatsApp.
Okay. Gentlemen, let's shift.
Before
Go ahead,
you
Patrick.
move on, yeah, just to explore your question a little more, Mike, because I kind of thought you were going further than just what Herb explained, right? And that is that, let's say a youngster having problems in Waterhouse, right? Be it legal problems or just general problems with the police, whatever, right? There will always be a communication link, right, for them to get the situation addressed or get the situation examined, even through these programs, because these programs not gonna cease to exist, and this too will be a link, between the community and this body. So the body not gonna be operating in isolation at the programs, or Ratty's program, of this program, or of Andre's program, and so on, right? It will be a whole network, right, operating in an even more comprehensive way, right? Plus there's also the website, right? Because I'm pretty sure you'll be able to communicate through the website as well, right? So I just wanted to
Yes.
say that further.
Okay, thank you for that. I want to shift the discussion now, bro. Gentlemen, again, tomorrow marks 50 years since the American government engineered a coup in Chile, overthrew Salvador Allende. 50 years tomorrow, September 11, 1973, was when Kissinger and his crew overthrew Allende. Serious thing. But while we think about that, we should also recognize that the election season starts in Jamaica. Don't you think? Things seem to be getting warm up. The campaign trail, the violence, seems like that is no part of it. There was an incident at Nationwide headquarters, and what's really happening? The election campaign start, right? You would agree? You would say?
I said the season. I wouldn't say the campaign. I said, the campaign season is in the air. People can sense it. And part of that is because they haven't had local elections for quite some time now. So people actually looking forward to it. Although they're not really looking forward to local elections per se. It's more the general election. But the fact that we haven't had local elections for such a long time, and some people have been saying, why? Well, I mean, we know why. But so I'd say it's in the air. The nationwide thing. Look, I don't have enough information to say, because some people are attributing the incident to what a PNP official said.
Yeah, General Secretary.
Right. And then some people are saying it's a false flag incident. It was set up by Nationwide and others in support of Nationwide to make it seem like somebody else did it. I mean, I don't know. It does seem to me that if they were planning to send a message against Nationwide, there are far more effective ways they could have done it. And then you hear different stories about one person on a bike and people in a car. I really don't know enough. But One thing I do know, it's inciting a lot of comments, and it's kind of thought provoking because people start talk. So, but at the same time, you kind of worry because some of the arguments you're hearing, they're just so preposterous, and people actually believe them. You know,
Yes, yes, that is true.
so
Some of the things that I'm hearing, you know, even with this Paulwell situation, Philip Paulwell situation, I'm people are just tying everything together and say, "Oh man, the campaigns things start. I don't know when it is going to happen and what have you." It must be worrying to some people. It are probably most Jamaicans, huh?
I
Yeah.
mean, when I look at it, Mikey, first of all, I say it's unfortunate that the PNP, what's his name,
General
that
Secretary Campbell.
yeah, it's unfortunate. Campbell, Dayton Campbell. First of all, it's unfortunate that he made that statement because I listened to his speech, a very good speech he made at the conference, the constituency conference, and putting that little he begged for 2 seconds just to talk about um, nationwide news. And that 2 second was it was to talk about nationwide news was not necessary. And the comment, the comment just was not necessary. It drowned the content of his speech totally. Nobody's talking about his speech. His speech was a very good speech, but nobody's talking about it. I think the PNP need to be aware because we're seeing this guy get like 3, 4 lawsuits for saying things that basically unnecessary in his speech, right? And them need to somebody need to rein him in and let him be more aware of the consequences of what I'm saying. But at the same time, I don't see there's not enough evidence to tie what he said to what happened that the shooting at nationwide news. I think I mean the JLP trying to get some and nationwide trying to get some mileage out of it, but it is not clear to me that there is any connection.
I just want to say this. I understand, you know, where we're going with the discussion, around issues like that. But I think there are more crucial things that we really need to draw more attention to and get some action about, right? And which is, I mean, one of the biggest things is, teachers are been leaving Jamaica in droves, right? And right now, we just have children going back to school, gone back to school, right? The education, the whole education playing field is in a shamble right now, right? And we haven't really spoken sufficiently to what's going on here, right? Try to get some answers. Try to get some people on the ground down there to speak out more about this and give us more information in terms of what's happening, because this is really where it's crucial. Because when we look at what's happening in Jamaica, we're really looking at where we'll be tomorrow, or where we're going tomorrow. And going tomorrow is looking at what become of these kids right now, right? So this is something we should always keep in the forefront of our mind, that what must be central as well is our focus on our children in Jamaica, right? And what kind of future we're looking at, because the future begins today.
Patrick, um, that is why I'm saying somebody needs to rein in um, Dayton Campbell because, like you said, we need to focus on some of those issues, like the issues of the teachers, the issues in education, and so forth. These are some of the things that he raised and talked about in his presentation. But is anybody talking about it in the news? Nobody, none of the new media houses have been covering anything that he said in his presentation about the teachers and all of those things, right?
And
So
that's why we have to be
we
different.
know
Yeah.
that
Right. That's
yes,
why we have to be
yes,
different.
we need to take on some of those issues and deal with them, like the 400 teachers that recently resigned them job and gone abroad. I mean, we need to zero in on some of these issues, right? I agree with you. But at the same time, the politicians, the politicians who are in the forefront, right? Then when they take up these issues, they need to be careful that they don't drown out those messages, right? Because they are the ones a lot more people listening to, right? So when they raise these issues and then drown it out with some unnecessary comments with about personal issues with other politicians, or saying stuff like nationwide news is an incubator for the JLP. These things drown your message.
But brethren, listen to me, man. That is Jamaican politics. There's nothing new, is it? This is Jamaican politics. That's why I say the election season, campaign season start. You know, this is nothing new, my brethren. It only multiply. So the question I have,
What is happening?
Patrick, what more should we be doing? You always point to the fact that making connection on the ground is one way of moving. What more, in a concrete way? What more can we
When
do?
when when we make connections on the ground, right? One of the things we are able to do, as that's clearly indicated as well, is that we can begin to get certain issues highlighted which are not even being mentioned in the media. It's not being addressed by the government. Is affecting people's daily lives, right, and them future, but at the same time, it's going unnoticed.
For
Right?
example,
Well, one example I just mentioned was the whole education situation right now. What is the state of affairs right now with children just gone back to schools in light of all of this this drove of teachers that have left?
you have the name of
What is
someone.
the situation we're looking at right now?
Do you have the name of someone or a group that we can contact, reach out to answer that question?
No, I don't have a name or group information that I can give out at this time about that. I'm just saying that is something we need to explore. We need to always keep in the forefront of our mind in terms of getting more contacts on the ground down there. So my thing is, one of the ways we do it is, and we have to build into the segment of our broadcast, right, where we're bringing, right, callers. We hear from callers and all of that too, right? And of course, with the setting up of the website and the database and so on, right? We'll be attracting people to make more contacts and all of that. Because what happens is that some of our shows have a lot of followers, right? A lot of subscribers. But when you look at what's happening with the shows themselves, is that it's a lower listenership, right? I was looking at even with Ratty's numbers and his show and all of that. And, it's a vast difference between the amount of people, the amount of subscribers he has and the amount of people who actually listen to the show. And then even as they listen to the show, the numbers drop, right? So these are things that we need to pay more attention to so we can address them, right, to get more people involved. And as we get more people involved, we build more contact on the ground.
I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly with you. But I want to suggest that you also think about the limitations that we face. You know,
But that's precisely what I'm doing. That's precisely what I'm doing. Focusing on that.
just a minute, brother. One of the thing with this YouTube channel and coming on it and speaking to certain issues is that we who live outside, it's much easier for us. But don't underestimate the fear for someone to come and show their face on the channel. Some people people want to talk, they talk when you call them, they talk, and whatever. And then they say to them, why don't you come on the thing? They're like, no, the fear. And again,
Okay.
I'm saying, go ahead.
What one of the first things we can do, is ask people what they are willing to do. Right? Instead of we saying that people should do this to show them support, we can put it out there that people text into us at a number, people on the ground, to say, what is it you are willing to do? Are you willing to be part of a group who each week write some letters to the editor, the Gleaner? Are you willing to post on behalf of the group or the ideas that the group put out, to post things on Twitter? We can ask people and hear from them what exactly they're willing to do. What form of organization are they willing to put into place to support what we are doing? Whether them willing to be part of a support group in a them community, 3-4 people who we can have a link with, right? Some people might just be able to just tell us what's happening in them community, so that we can be a lot more concrete and more in touch with what is happening on the ground. There are many forms of organization that don't really expose people, right? That can be put in place. And it don't take a dozen people or 20 people to put some of these organizations in place and have a link with us, right? But we have to ask people what they're willing to do. We can have some proposals, right? Whether you're willing to form a 3-4 member group in your community that is willing to support and put out our ideas on social media, things like that.
But also the calling in. Take Ratty Show, for example, right? Where he has, people calling and so on. That's direct contact with people on the ground, right? Because people do call in. There's no risk to people calling in on the shows, right? There's no risk to more people listening to the show and all of that. So we use this show to say to people, share this with your friend, right? And subscribe and like the show and all of that, because all of these things help to strengthen the show, right? When there's more likes, there's more sharing and all of that. It builds, it expands the listenership and the viewership, right? And the stronger we are with that, is the better standing we are in, even with YouTube, right? Because what happens is that some of the technical difficulties may just disappear, right? So these are some of the factors that we can't forget, right? In how we conduct these shows, right? We really here really expand this as much as we can, to reach as much people as we can, to build our listenership as much as we can.
I'm in total agreement with everything both of you said. My question is, who will do it?
We do it.
What aspect of the task that we have before us, what aspect of it one will take on and do? Who will do all of that? What you guys just point to?
Okay,
because
okay,
it's easier said
okay,
than done.
okay, okay, okay.
So
If you want me going
no,
to go more into
no,
some of these things right now, I
no,
can do that too.
no.
But
We don't have to.
this is
We
not
can do it.
the forum for that.
No, this is not the forum for that. We can do it in terms of in another form, right? We can have a conference call and deal with that, right? Because but I haven't heard from Rattigan or Herb for a while. What are you guys thinking, bro? You have heard the conversation so far?
Well, here's what, and I'm not a pro at this, and I haven't been doing this for a long time. But
Nor am I.
yeah, but here's here's what here's my 2 cents on this. A significant portion of the people in Jamaica don't understand the issues in a granular fashion. They know that hey, things tough, and we're not having jobs or meaningful jobs or whatever, but they don't know. And what I'm finding out is a lot of them turn to us to explain the issues in Jamaica, what's going on for them. And I'm every week I'm heartened, and I'm also surprised that some of the things we talk about that people in Jamaica they don't know about it. And it's almost like information blackout. But when you ask the question, what can we do? Here's one of the things that I've done. I did a tutorial on one of my programs, and I said to them, listen, this Access to Information Act of 2002 is a very powerful instrument to hold government accountable, because through that law, you can ask the government about certain things and you can get information. That's where I got a lot of my information. And I walk them through it, going through JAM, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, how to ask any ministry, any agency for information. Now, how many of them really took me up on that offer and went and started asking about things? I'm perfectly willing to do it for them, you know. But you know what they say? You teach a man to fish and he won't be hungry, you know. If you give him a fish, the day you stop him a fish, he's hungry. And I'm trying to do it, but I find that and and a lot of them they're challenged um technology wise. They don't have the equipment to do it, you know, they don't have a smartphone, they don't have the time. So that's one. Second thing is I also found out that you can't go by the numbers you see. The numbers you see on YouTube, they're just instructive. They're not dispositive of the issue. Why do I say that? Because I get people tell me that, hey, you know, when you come on, well, we'll put the TV out in the yard and we invite all the neighbors them. But that counts as one with YouTube. Counts as one. So YouTube is actually counting devices that you know, devices that log on to their portal. They can't count the number of people actually watching or listening. They can't. So I tell my producer and the people I said to them, listen, we don't worry about numbers because the message is getting out. And sometimes what will happen is you'll get a factor where some the number you see that's actually watching the program, watch it 7 days after. And that's where that's the number that's telling, even though it's still measuring devices. But somebody will watch it today and then they'll share that information with with the neighbors or relatives or whatever. And they'll say, look, you need to go watch a program now because so and so and so and so and so. And then that's when you see the numbers start to climb. And I'm more concerned about getting quality material, quality information out to them. So I'm force them to think rather than numbers. The numbers will come. You know, I'm not worried about the numbers. The numbers will come. But again, is to force them to do certain things. And I'm struggling right now to get people to even do the simple filing with the access to information. And it doesn't take a lot. But think about it. You're asking people whose priorities, food for tonight, bus fare for for work tomorrow, the children, get them uniform. They don't have time for this. So what we have to do now, we have to just take over that role now, because nobody was occupying that space. Nobody's. I mean, Jam they do certain things, right? And I think there are only like about 4 groups that actually that four groups that account for the bulk of inquiries under the access to information. So now we have to get involved and occupy that space that we can then collect the information, assess the information, and then disseminate that information to people so that they know what's going on. Because I'll give you one quick example. The missing fertilizer. How many people, how many farmers knew about that, knew the fact that 2.6, what am I saying? Yeah, 2.6 million pounds of fertilizer in Jamaica. For them. How many of them know about that? And it came last year. How many, and second question, how many of them actually received any of that fertilizer? Third question, how many of them actually know how the fertilizer was dispersed? Because as of last week, I got another response under the access to information indicating that you have about 400,000 pounds of fertilizer missing. Not 400 pounds, 400,000 pounds missing. Because I went back and I looked at what Morocco said, not Jamaica, what Morocco said in their newspaper, that this is a gift to Jamaica. Then I looked at what Jamaica said they received, and it's the same amount. Then when I looked at what the Ministry of, and by the way, Minister Kamina Johnson Smith was involved in that as well. And when I looked at what the RADA looked at what they're claiming that they received, they're claiming 2.4 million pounds. Yet Morocco said they sent 2.6. Jamaica said they received 2.6. RADA says we only got 2.4. And of the 2.4, 200,000 pounds ended up in a place called Orange River Research Facility. I never heard of that facility. And I'm saying, what are you doing with 200,000 pounds of fertilizer? They come back and you know what they said? Oh, I think it was 1,600 something bags of fertilizer damaged. I said, so okay, the bag's damaged, but the fertilizer not dissipate. The fertilizer is there on the ground, right? So you just scoop it up and repackage it and that. And they said, oh, and we have the policy that we don't give out mixed fertilizer. It's not good policy to give mixed fertilizer to farmers, right? Yet they said they took this fertilizer and they fertilized like approximately 150 acres worth of fruit trees, right? And I'm going, wait a minute. So what do you do with the fruit? What did you do with it? You throw it away? You sell it? Or what do you do with it? I mean, it's just pure nonsense. And now when you look at what they told me in their first response and you look at what they're telling me in the second response, a whole bunch of contradictions. For example, I asked them, give me the name of all the farmers who, no, in the first response, they said, in order for a farmer to get any fertilizer, must be registered with RADA, must be involved in farming, in agriculture. And you're only entitled to 2 bags of fertilizer. Each bag weighs 110 pounds. So the maximum you can get is 220 pounds. I know a farmer who went and asked for 20 pounds of fertilizer and they said, you're not qualified. 20 pounds. And she was entitled to up to 220 pounds. And they said, no, you're not entitled to it, right? And then they said, when you come for the fertilizer, you have to sign. You have to fill out a form and sign and take receipt of the fertilizer. That's what they told me the first time around. So I went and I said, at the time I said, give me the name of all the farmers who received fertilizer. They gave me the disbursement of fertilizer by parish. They wouldn't give me the names. They come back and they said, oh, we can't give you the names. That's confidential information. So I ask again. Second time around, you know what they said? We don't have any such information that anybody signed for any fertilizer. You just told me, that in order to get the fertilizer, you must sign for the fertilizer. You have to have an accounting thing, regarding how the fertilizer is being dispersed. No, they tell me, we have no such, that nobody no sign for no fertilizer. And I've heard on other programs where farmers come on and say, yeah, I got 5 bags of fertilizer. You only allowed 2. But at the end of the day, the question is, what happened to the 2.6 that left Morocco?
2.6 that arrived in Jamaica, and then suddenly from the time it arrived in Jamaica and then go to RADA for distribution, it's only 2.4. And then when you add up the numbers, 200,000 missing. And they're telling you that, oh, we scooped up all of this fertilizer and we sent it to the Orange River Research Facility. And I'm saying, so what are they researching over there? What are they doing over there? And why you need so much fertilizer? And up to now, no answer. But the point I'm trying to make is that people in Jamaica don't know this. People in Jamaica, they don't know this. And that's why it's incumbent upon us then, as Jamaicans, with a passion for Jamaica and with the skill and the fortitude to do the things that we're doing, to continue doing, because I think at some point it's going to catch on. It's going to catch on. I'm not dissuaded by the fact that people are not asking questions under the access to information, because I know the more I do it and the more they see results, it will generate more interest, and at some point people are going to start doing it.
Well, here's the thing, Ratty. If I can just respond to what you just said, right? First with the social media aspect of it. What I'm talking about is more than just the numbers on YouTube, right? I'm talking about we building our own database. We knowing we are able to measure the impact of our work, right? That's what I'm talking about. And utilizing the things that are available to us, right? To build on that, right? And that's why I say it's not something it's not a discussion we can go into here, right? But it is more than just the numbers. We have to pay attention to the numbers, because it's numbers available to us. And that's the only thing we can use, right? But there's more to be done and more that can be done, right? That's the first thing. The other thing is, what I thought about, as you explained with the fertilizer and so on, and I'm going back now to my whole experience back years ago with even with working on the waterfront and all of that, is that I can imagine a situation in Jamaica, right, receiving a gift of 2.6 million pounds of fertilizer, right? Now, historically, right, this is nothing new. A lot of times when government receives gifts, a lot of it go to waste. You'd be amazed, right? You will have goods arrive on the waterfront and it sit there because they had no plan for it. It's not buy it, them get it. They had no plan for it and all of that. And because of the inefficient management, right, it sits there on the waterfront, right? A lot of it go to waste, right? Some of it eventually get drawn from the waterfront and all of that. And the next thing you know is that it is dispersed in a haddock way. There's no real proper accountability for it, right? So some of the answers that you get, one of the reasons why it is so flawed is because it's a flawed system, right? A flawed system of management, right? And I have no reason to think that things have greatly improved since then, right? But it particularly happens when they receive things as gifts, because they don't necessarily feel like they have to make any real accountability about it, right? And that's my take on it.
But here's the thing. The thing is, this gift is a little bit different than farmers in America. They have like a surplus and they want to get rid of it, and State Department grab onto it and say, oh, we're going to send it to different countries. This is one where they actually went to Morocco. I mean, I have a picture of the foreign minister in Morocco meeting with Moroccan.
But like you said, remember, that is the key to really what you're talking about. The key to really what you're talking about is that old Kamina Johnson campaign, right, an agenda, which is really what was at the crux of the whole matter. It's not really about the fertilizer and the fertilizer reaching farmers.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, they and just for the viewing audience, I'm gonna do a program. I think next week or the week after, we're gonna talk about this fertilizer bit. But I'm gonna have on Ambassador Curtis Ward, who was the is the former Jamaican representative to the United Nations, the Security Council, where he can talk about how Jamaica ended up getting this fertilizer because of what they did to the people of Western Sahara in their struggle for liberation from Morocco, right? Their autonomy from Morocco. He'll talk about what he witnessed in the Security Council and how Jamaica supported the people of the Western Sahara from 1976 until 2016 when this government took over. One of the first things they did, they went to Morocco and they started doing their own thing. And then the next thing you know, fertilizer arrived. So it's almost, if you look at it, they traded the vote for fertilizer. Because Jamaica doesn't have a real diplomatic relations with Morocco. It's not like
Most Jamaicans don't know where Morocco is.
Jamaicans don't know. If you're right, if you show them a map and say show me Morocco, they can't find it.
Yeah.
We have no diplomatic relations, no real diplomatic relations with Morocco.
Nope.
And yet we ended up in Morocco and we get this gift. And so it seems to suggest that they traded the vote because now guess what? They came out in the Moroccan newspaper that Jamaica is now supporting Morocco.
Big
Again,
article.
Western Sahara. Yeah, Jamaica is supporting Morocco now, which we didn't do from 1976. Yeah, 1976. We said, no, we're not going to do it. Then all of a sudden we do it and we get the fertilizer. So they negotiated what do we need. And the fertilizer came at that time when fertilizer was scarce and the price was high.
And I'll say something further too, right? On the Moroccan situation. Morocco is closer to Europe than it is to the African countries.
Sure.
So that too speaks in volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we are on the wrong side of history right there. Right?
And in
terms of our relationship with Morocco right now.
You know who was the largest producer of fertilizer when the war started? And because Ukraine, they produce one of the largest producers of fertilizer. And when the war started, we couldn't get fertilizer over there. You know who took over the fertilizer business? It was Dangote, the guy out of Nigeria. We have strong relations with Nigeria, yet we didn't go to Nigeria for fertilizer. We pass Nigeria, we pass West Africa and go all the way around to North Africa, right? In Mediterranean, we say, yeah, we all get fertilizer from Morocco. And people, but again, people in Jamaica, one is that they're concerned about other things. Two, they don't have they're not moved to look into something like this, even though this directly affects our people because this came for farmers, right? And the farmers, based on what I'm being told, I call some parishes and I ask the farmers them, and them say, no, we never hear nothing about that, and rather never give enough fertilizer. And the ones who did hear about it, they didn't get any fertilizer. They heard about it, but they didn't get 2.6 million pounds of fertilizer.
Gentlemen.
But you see, Mike, I just want to interject here. You have a situation where this government of Jamaica has changed policy that existed for probably decades. If South Africa was still under the apartheid system, they probably would have sided with the people running the apartheid system. In this case, with Morocco and Western Sahara, for a very long time, it has been the policy to support the Western Sahara folks. So what they did, they sold their souls, and went over there and cut a deal, not for the people of Jamaica, which is what they were representing, but they said, okay, COVID is here, we're having a hard time getting the fertilizer. And so they cut a deal for themselves. They didn't have Jamaican farmers in mind. The people at Denby, the Jamaica Agricultural Society, they didn't know about this deal. See, we have to start looking at who is the unofficial governing bodies that regulate the various professions, whether it's farming, whether it's teaching, Jamaica Teachers Association, or whoever it is that we need to be in touch with. Because once we get their version of things, we have to know if they're working on a solution to any problem we bring to them, or if they are even aware of the problem. So now that we know that the fertilizers disappeared, did the people at Denby, did they play a role in that? Did anybody else in the various farming associations by region? Because Denby is in St. Mary, so you're gonna have people all the way out in Westmoreland, all the way on St. Elizabeth side, right? Uh, Even to rope in the current or the past Minister of Agriculture, right, Hutchinson, because he is very prominent still in the agricultural world, and as well as the President, Minister of Agriculture. You need to find out from all of them, put them on the record. What do you know? When did you know it? And whose idea was this to go wheel and deal and do this? It's a foreign affairs thing. So again, comes back to Kamina Johnson Smith, right? Did she orchestrate this plan, or was it orchestrated somewhere else and run through her ministry? So she played a role. It comes back again to what I said earlier, integrity. If you have very little integrity, then you're going to fall for every scam or every plan that appears to be a scam against the Jamaican people or against somebody else overseas, right? So where's the integrity? Where's that high level that her father maintained when he was at the UN? And the support he gave to South Africa, that to free Mandela and to take care of Zimbabwe. Where's it? Does she have it? And if she's behind all of these plans that occur in the overseas arena and can bring Jamaica into disrepute, then she needs to go. So maybe we're on the right trail after all.
Another thing to or just say extend on the point you just made, and to speak to what Ratty was saying with the fertilizer. Maybe one of the things you need to build in as well, Ratty, is also to explore, maybe through the same access to information, explore the distributive mechanism of the government when it comes to material like fertilizer, right? So that we can dissect it and look at it and take a real critical look at it, right? Into how it is structured and how it operates, right? Because all of this is what would certainly be further for information, right? In addressing the situation.
Okay.
It's in the
Gentlemen.
public interest.
Yes.
It's definitely in the public interest for us to question these things and educate the public about it. And Mike, you have to take a look at what are the things that are in the public interest that we have covered in the past. Do we have a list, and do we keep going over the list till we get it resolved? Right? There are a lot of things happening out there that is unresolved, and we have covered it. But how far do we want to go with it? Do we want to probe it, like go for access to information every time, going through JAMP, asking them for the information, forcing them to tell us something? So if they see us, what the sound go, them going tired for see our face.
Right.
Right? And they can't do nothing about it. You keep nagging them and nagging them till they come up with something.
Well, on that note,
I think
go ahead, Lars.
no, I
No, man,
think
go ahead, Lars.
Herb just raised a very important. I think Herb just raised a very important point in terms of follow up on issues that we discussed on this program and keeping tabs on, how far we take it and whether these things still remain an issue, because we have discussed a number of stuff on this program, and I think some of them we haven't really, after we discussed them here, we haven't really followed up to ensure that there's any progress. I think the only thing that we really take on as a continuous thing is the Kamina Johnson Smith issue, which we always going back and backtracking and see what's happening. But I think, as Herb said, on all the issues that we put forward on this program, we need to keep looking back to see whether or not it is still an issue amongst the Jamaican people, and whether it's an issue that progress is being made on.
Last time you're completely on the money. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head, and that's why. No, you find some people say, "Well, leave Kamina alone. Why you just dip on her?" Because you know why? We've become so used to the 9-day wonder that something happens and it runs for a course like about 9 days, and then that's it. We move on to something else. This Kamina story, I shouldn't call her that. The Minister Kamina Johnson Smith story has been going on since last year, June, more than a year. I picked it up late last year, and I haven't let go. And I mean, that's just my nature. That's just my training. That's who I am. Once you hold on to something, you just follow its logical conclusion. You don't let go, right? And I think that's what we need to do. As I said, tired for similar fears. We just keep doing it and make people get used to the idea that once you hold on to a story, you follow it. It doesn't mean that you won't pay attention to other stories, but this one that you hold on, you follow it to its logical conclusion. Here's another example. And this one going to make the chairman of the Police Federation some serious money. I'm going to hear about it. In the battle line, the battle lines were drawn between the chairman and the high command regarding the system that should have been implemented to pay overtime. Right? Last year, February, I believe it was, a court said the JCF went to court and said, well, the reason why we're having problems is because we have a manual system. The court said, okay, fine. You know what? I'm going to give you a year until March 31st to implement the new digitized system so that people can, you can accurately capture overtime and pay these folks. JCF said yes. The Minister of Finance made the financial commitment for that system to be implemented. So the Minister of Finance, Minister Nigel Clark, he did his job. March 31st came, no system. Payment was supposed to start April 1st, the beginning of the fiscal year. No system. So then the chairman started getting complaints from his folks. And rightly so, saying, we were told this and you're in charge and where's our money? So then he went to them and it was back and forth. Yeah, we're getting the system, we're getting the system. Still hasn't been completely implemented. Some people have gotten paid, but most of them, a lot of them, partial payments. That's one issue. Now here's the real issue. Here's a secondary issue which is equally important. The chairman took them to task at a funeral for one of his fallen comrades, and he made it clear in no uncertain terms that he was negotiating with the government. They should follow the court order that said that this system should have been implemented in March of this year. What did they do? They responded by sending him a letter of interdiction, essentially suspending him, sending him home with partial payment. But to make it worse, they released his medical, or I shouldn't say they, media houses, at least two that I'm aware of, they released his medical records showing that 10 years ago, they claimed that basically he was abusing the system because he was taking off a lot of time for work and they were questioning his fitness for duty and so on and so forth. So I said to him, wait a minute, hold on 1 second. This is not right. This is confidential information. This is not supposed to be out in the public domain unless you release it. You can release your own medical records, But if you don't, then, or if you didn't, then it shouldn't be out there. So what did I do? I went under the same Access to Information Act, and I requested his medical records. I said, I will Radigan want to get Chairman Rowan James's medical records for that period, as well as his time and leave attendance, all of that stuff, his records. Now, I know, and I have it right here, I know that under Section 22, they cannot give me that information. Section 22 of the Access to Information Act. It's personal information. They cannot give it to me. In fact, I asked for Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith tax records. And the tax administration came back and said, no, under Section 22, we cannot give it to you. It's personal information. If she wants to give it to you, that's fine. But we cannot give it to you. So I know they're going to tell me that they can't give it to me. They have to. They can't give it to me because then that's a double whammy. So once they give me that letter, guess what? And I've made it clear to everyone. I'm going to send that letter to the chairman. And then he can take that denial letter and give it to his lawyers and say, okay, that information cannot be released. Legally, cannot be released. Because here we have one citizen who applied for it and the government told him no. So the question then is, the JCF is the sole custodian of those records. And those records were released to the media. How did they get released to the media? How?
But actually, Ratty, I don't think his medical records is even in the custody of JCF. It might be in a certain section of JCF, but not just generally the JCF. Because
no, here's what they release. They release is leave and all that stuff, which is housed in the Human Resource Department.
Right. Okay, so that's not medical records.
Yeah, but
that's more than medical.
What I did was, I went and I asked for everything, and to the Ministry of National Security's credit, they responded within 3 days. The lady who's responsible, the ATI representative, she responded and she said, "Look, I'm on leave, but I'm turning it over to a friend of mine. You'll get your response within 30 days." And then we'll go from there. But again, it just shows the importance of using a tool that's available, readily available, and it's free. And if we can just get people to start doing this, if we can get more people to become activists in this endeavor, where every time the government come out with something, we have.
And that's the key right there, because this is not something that comes normally, right? I mean, you take that approach because you're coming from a legal background.
True.
Right? And that makes all the difference. I was into the habit of going to the government printing office, right, and getting copies of new laws and so on. How much people even know they could do that, right? Wow. Back in the day, before internet and all of this stuff, right? So it comes down to what you know and how you use it, right? And people are not oriented along the lines of taking legal action and all of that, so they don't even entertain the thought.
And that's why
the moment they think law, right, then they say, "Oh, I need a lawyer. Lawyer costs money," and all of that, right? And they dismiss it. That's how that goes.
And that's why we need the foundation. And we know you want to need it, but we don't have nothing else to do tonight. So we could just go on, brother. Come have a whoop of things on my mind. Yeah.
Go on.
Because we have to inculcate this in our people. We have to impress upon them the fact that, you know, there's certain things that you can do to assist in holding the government accountable, because a lot of things them get away with, you know, that if people would just file this little piece of paper, and if you don't get it, here's another thing, and it just goes to familiarizing yourself with the law, because the law says that if I ask the Ministry of Justice for a piece of information, and that information is not within their domain, not within their province, then they're supposed, let's say I ask them for information and that information is housed in local government, for example. The Ministry of Justice under the law is then required to forward my request to local government and then report to me saying, listen, you sent it here, but it actually should have gone over there. We've done it for you, and they will respond to you within 30 days, because that's the time period. 30 days after respond. That's how it's supposed to work. But we have an educated person, and I use that term loosely, an Ambassador Monteith over at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. She works for Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. I asked for information. She's telling me, you need to go over to Minister of Information, and you need to go to the Parliament to get this kind of information. I wrote her back and I said, "Man, you're not under Section 8 of the Access to Information Act. You are responsible for sending that over to them, and then inform me that this is what you've done." So I made the request again. You know what the lady did? The permanent secretary. She sent me back the same thing, saying you go over there. So what I did was I went over to the Ministry of the Office of the Cabinet, and I asked for some information. And you know what they did? They wrote me back and I said, "Mr. Rattigan, the information that you requested is not here. It's actually in the office of the Prime Minister. So we're going to forward your request to them, and you will hear from them in 30 days. But you see what I'm saying? You have people there that even after you point out the law to them and say, this is what you're supposed to do, you just ignore it. But we have to be persistent, because only through persistence and perseverance will we get the desired result. But we can't let people tell us nonsense and then we just walk away. So part of what we're doing is inspiring people to stiffen up their spines, because nothing is going to come easy. But I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to take this back. And the good thing about it now, I've been told, people said, you know what? People know about you now, the access to information, people, all of them know about you. I also reached out to the person, and this is a disgrace. I reached out to the person operating out of the office of the Prime Minister, who is I think is one of the principals, if not the principal person, in terms of outreach, going out and explaining this law to people, the access to information. And I've developed a professional relationship with him, but every time I send something, I CC him on it, or if I have a question, I ask him. I said to him one day, listen, I need you to come and do a public service thing on my program. I need you to come on the program and explain to people how we can do this, to familiarize them with this access to information thing, since you're the expert. He said to me, I don't know if I can do it like that, but I'll ask. I said to him, no, I don't want you to ask. I'm going to send it to you in writing, because I want to have a record that I requested it from you. I don't want hearsay. I don't want somebody to say, well, then I hear it correctly or nothing. I wrote to him. He said, I've passed on your request to my superiors, and I'll get back in touch with you. He got back in touch with me and he said, unfortunately, I have not been given permission to come on and explain the ATI to people. You believe that nonsense? This is the person responsible for the outreach to educate Jamaicans about the access to information. And what makes it worse is that the Access to Information Act, anyone, everyone, it doesn't matter if you're on Mars, anyone can petition the Jamaican government for information. Some governments, they said, you have to be a resident or a citizen of that country to get the information. The Jamaican law says anywhere you're from, and you don't have to live in Jamaica, and you don't have to be a Jamaican to petition the government for information. And now you have this guy out there I'm asking him to come and do a service for the diaspora as well as people in Jamaica. And they told him no. They said, no, you're not going to do it. This is what we face.
I afraid to bring a question on him that him can't answer.
Yeah, but in addition to recognizing persistency and all that as good attributes to manifest, I think we should also recognize that, listen, brother, we are from a people where Brother Nancy is the folk hero, And on top of that, over the years, we have seen corruption become deeply embedded in the Jamaican society. I don't think you can point to any quarters of Jamaica right now where corruption has made an impact. So,
and Michael, that is why we need a big fish. We need a big fish to be brought down.
We need that, but I think right now what we need to focus on the unjust social and economic system imposed on black people in Jamaica. Because all of this is coming from structural problem, The economy not fulfilling the needs of Jamaican people. The security force, the law can meet up, not living up to what is expected of it. It's this, we have to at some point we have to start talking about the social and economic system in Jamaica, the structure itself.
But Michael, the thing you're missing is that the level of corruption is interrupting whatever progress can be made on the social issues in other country. That's a big issue that we face. Look at the fertilizer issue that Radigan raised. That's a big social issue for get fertilizer to farmers so that them can produce. And the corruption interrupting the corruption is interrupting that process.
Yeah, because the structures are weakened. The structures that we have over the years that used to regulate behavior and all that, those things are weakened.
Because people, there's a system in the country that is trying to weaken these structures so that them they have we succeeded, and they're still trying to make more success in weakening the structures so that more and more corruption can take place without any consequence. So anytime we talk about corruption, right, it is because it is affecting the social issues that needs to be dealt with in the country. It is affecting the economy. It is affecting the medical services. It is affecting how teachers respond to the kids in the classroom, because it's all about feeding the corruption and not feeding the teachers. Right? So we have to always deal with the social issues, bearing in mind that the corrupt practices in the country is interrupting the progress that we can make.
And it's also interrupting the sports foundations and associations,
exactly,
which is meant for young people. So it's a great impact that is happening with corruption.
So corruption is not in isolation to anything. It is part of the solution.
I'm not saying it is, what I'm saying is that just as though we point to the superstructures, manifesting the corrupt behavior, corrupt practice and all of that, we should also look at the base. And the base is the social and economic base of the society. We have to look and we have seen that over the years, where the institutions are weakened, we see corruption increase. We see crime increase. And those are issues that the political parties, they're not addressing that. None of them are talk about the superstructure, changing that. I don't see nothing serious happening. It's just window dressing. I asked a friend of mine the other day, what do we think will happen? What he sees happening with the election? And he said, Mike, the PNP have to work very hard to win this. GLP going to get, and then corruption going to be much, much, much deeper. Because the PNP is a weakened party and it's going to take years for it to build back. So the GLP has a free reign on the state. That is what we're looking at.
Well, we never worry about party because, as you said before, the corruption runs deep on both sides, right? And at the end of the day, the poor people them suffer. At the end of the day, the poor and the middle class people them suffer. Now, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So while we are the Minister Kamina Johnson Smith story, and we are looking on the fertilizer, and we have a couple of another thing we're going to focus my attention on next coming days is this COVID money, this $750 million loan for COVID that reached Jamaica. Nobody no get an accounting of where the money there, and yet still, my people, your people, who never get any of the money, who the money who should have gotten some of that money, them are their children, are the children. Them going to have to pay back the 750 million.
That is and that is the unfortunate thing.
Right. So the question I have now is, and this is to the panel. Who do you blame for corruption?
People of Jamaica.
All right, man. You blame the people.
Yeah.
Patrick, who you blame?
I say it's not a blame game.
Patrick, no blame nobody. All right, who you blame? Last.
I blame the politicians. I blame the people. I blame the politicians have the most responsibility, but the people need to get in a mood where them ask questions. The fact is, too many people in Jamaica just accept things based on what the government say or some agency say, and them don't ask the questions. Probably because them feel say, well, them not gonna get no answers anyway. But it is the government responsibility to be transparent, right? They shouldn't leave it to people like me and you to be probing before they tell us what's the $750 million. They shouldn't leave it on us to be probing before they say, this is how this $700 million was spent. This is who benefited, and whether or not we have more money left over, right?
Mhm.
But the people of Jamaica, their responsibility is to ask questions, is to probe, is to find out how things are happening, and they're not playing that part.
Nita, who you blame?
I blame the economic foundation of the country, the arrangement.
Like that. You know what I'm going to say. Well, go ahead.
No, because the way they distribute income in Jamaica is so unjust that, listen, Rattigan, you and I used to get up a morning time with our father and go up a purity, go pack bread and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And after 30, 40 years, our parents still are struggling after all of them hard work there. You understand me? So the economic foundation of the society, my brethren, we have to blame that. We have to root it up.
All right.
You know, some people get money and then no work.
True.
You know,
True.
you understand that.
All right. Herb said blame the people. Patrick said, boy, it's not a blame game. Blas says the politicians and the people, and you says the economic foundation of Jamaica. I guess to some degree, everybody right. But here's where I place the blame. I place the blame for every act of corruption, every single act of corruption that happened within the last since 2016, right? Because that's where my interest started, right there, regarding getting involved and fighting this scourge. Every single act of corruption, I blame it on the Prime Minister. Every single one. It no matter where it happened. As far as government, public corruption I'm talking about, I blame it squarely on him. And I'll tell you why. Because I've listened to him make speech after speech after speech after speech saying that my administration will be the most transparent, will be the most accountable. We won't tolerate this. We won't tolerate that. And at the end of the day, guess what happened? All of them ministers you see up there, him are the one who put them there. So as a leader, right, you have to take responsibility for the truth. You have to. So no matter where it occur, I blame him because he's supposed to rein that in, because he might admit that there's a problem and him make certain proposals that, okay, we're going to address it. In fact, he went out and asked the Integrity Commission to provide training, corruption training, provide training to his cabinet. He asked for it. And guess what? He received it. They received it. And guess what? They won't sign the code of conduct. which is about the same, the code of conduct. When you look at it, it's about the training they received. They asked for it. But and you see what happened? He went out on his political soapbox and he was able to say, I am serious about corruption so much so that I asked for training so that my cabinet will be well versed in these issues and they will act accordingly.
Let me answer this, right guy. Let me answer this. Do you think that Holness can move against Robert Montague, Douglas Vaz, Warmington, Mackenzie, and Chang? Do you think he has the power within the Jamaica Labour Party to move against those forces?
Let me answer it like this. That's between him and them. The argument I'm making is between the people and him. That's a social contract that we have with him. As the leader, he said, people, my people, this is what I'm going to do to address the issue of corruption in Jamaica, public corruption in Jamaica. So I'm holding him responsible for that. What they do, he must now hold them responsible.
Okay.
He must now hold responsible.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
Let me say something. I talked with a big laborite. She was very close to.
Eyes are big in position.
In position. She was. She. This is how she referred to Eddie Siag as Papa Eddie. Very close. You know what she said to me? Mike, the man with the power in the Jamaica Labour Party is Robert Montague and Pernell Charles. Because see, when people want money, those are the two guys them go to for money and tell them want money. I'm saying them two man control Jamaica Labour Party. Regardless of how you see Holness and make up nice.
But look, if you're going to hold anybody accountable, hold the Prime Minister. Hold the Prime Minister. If you want to hold others, that's fine. But you have to hold him first because he's the one.
He will be. He will be.
And remember,
the power on the ground. Who has the power on the ground?
Well, look, the Prime Minister is not the Prime Minister of the JLP party, you know. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of Jamaica. And we have to hold him accountable. And that's why I tell people once the election's over, I support the Prime Minister, whatever stripe him wear, whatever color, I support him or her. But so we have to hold him responsible. And if you come out and make a speech, and then you went out and said, I'm seeking training, and what that said to me, okay, this guy really serious about corruption then, because in the initiative, I'll go out and say, listen, I realize there's an issue here. I realize some of these people might not be versed in what's going on, or they might be versed, and so I want to make them averse to what's going on. So I'm going to get this training for them so I can hold them responsible. And then you get the training, and then you don't even sign the thing. Your statutory declaration has not been declarations plural have not been verified. So him would need to hold accountable. No,
that is politics for you in Jamaica.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What I'm saying is that people shouldn't lose focus because you see, once you focus, once you get distracted, it's hard for you to really focus once you get distracted. And if the idea, okay, well, I have to go with Montague, I have to go with Vaz, I have to go with this one and that one and the Prime Minister. It watered down. You see, if people in a united voice would just say, Mr. Prime Minister, you see where everybody else are doing rear, are you we all responsible? You, because are you appoint them? You are the one who say you clear this up. You're the one who get the training. You're the one who don't sign off on the thing. We are whole. You, I guarantee you, if people did that, you just say something. You would say something.
Well, here's the thing. That's exactly the reason why I said it's not a blame game. Because the fact of the matter is, when there's a flawed system, the only thing that can come out of it is flaws, not more. Nothing more. Right? And that's what we see every step of the way. Right? It's the same thing you see when the Prime Minister will step into the different ministries and try to take the responsibilities out of the ministry and bring it to the Prime Minister's office and all of that. That's not the way how this thing functions.
Right.
That's not why they're being paid. Right? The civil servant in charge of running the ministry will be the permanent secretary. Right? The political person in charge, right, would be the minister, right? And those two supposed to work together, right, in order to deal with the whole administration of the ministry. right? You don't see that happening in Jamaica, right? If you ask the ordinary person out there, they probably don't even know who a permanent secretary is, what a permanent secretary does,
True.
or anything like that,
True.
right? So the fact of the matter is, when you have a flawed system, all you're gonna get is flaws, right? And it's flawed from the Constitution throughout. That's why there's no fixing a broken system. It's really replacing it, right? And until we start to look at it in that way, right, we'll never be able to address problems, right? Because we're speaking about problems, we're not speaking about solutions.
That's why I'm of the opinion that if you go and hold somebody responsible and somebody allegedly the leader, then that's the person you're going to talk to. You're going to talk to that person and say, look, this is what you promised and you failed to deliver. And so we have to take necessary action against you, which will then force him to take action against them. So you go after if you have this laser focus on the issue and the person responsible for making the change, I think you'll get results. But once you have some people that say, this man and that man and that man, it watered down the whole thing. And I think that's what they want. They don't want a single focus on anyone or any issue. They want to distract you and have you talk about that person, this person, that issue. And then they know that you get tired after a while because there's no unity. In unity, there's strength. And if people can just come together and say, okay, let's agree on the issue and let's agree on how we attack the issue and let's do it. Then that's it. Because I don't believe people say Jamaica can't come back. I'm not giving up on Jamaica. No way, no how, no time, no day. I'm not giving up on Jamaica. I'll give up on our leaders, but I won't give up on the people of Jamaica. Right?
Giving up can be an option.
Giving up is not an option. Not an option. And that's why I do this, because I do this without regard for power or position. And like I tell people say to me, why, what if this I want to win and them not? No, I am very comfortable where I am. I don't want to go. No, I don't want to go anywhere else because I want to hold government accountable. Whether it's this government or the opposition, should they become government, I want to hold them responsible. And by the way, I find it interesting that I ask the government on a weekly basis. I said to them, hey, come on the program and make we talk issues. No way, no how, no time. They're not coming. I reach out to the opposition. There are certain people in the opposition who will come readily. Few. The people that that the audience is asking for. Like I know a certain gentleman who's watching right now, and he's been every week himself, when you'll get the leader of the opposition on your program. And I said to him, I've been trying for a long time. Can't get through. So it's like that. To me, that's very telling that you have people in charge of service delivery. That's exactly what they're there for, to deliver services. And they won't come on and talk to you about their role in service delivery. They won't.
But didn't you have him there before?
No, I didn't have him. It was Lonesome who had him.
Oh, okay.
And I was just on the program. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm coming because people want to hear from them and hear about the ideas. What do you have in because not only we want to hear about the ideas, we want to test the ideas. And when I say test the ideas, we want you to tell us what you plan, and then what happens is then we start asking tough questions. If you say you're going to do this, how do you plan? We don't just want to hear, I am going to. No. We want you to give us exactly how you will do it. Because I think one of the ways for Jamaicans to hold the government accountable or hold their MPs accountable is to say, listen, Mr. MP, election is coming up, and here's what we want. We want from you basically a manifesto. We want you to tell us, we're going to give you our list, and you tell us how you can work with our list. What should we expect from you? And if you can't do it, then we'll go somewhere else. And if you say you can do it, part of our contract with you is that we're going to have a regularly scheduled meeting like every 3 or 4 months where you come and you explain to the community what's going on, what's failing, what's succeeding, what do you plan to do about the failures, all of these things. And I mean it. Mean it. And let them know, because we have given up our power, the power of the vote. We've given it up to them. We take $5,000 a 2-piece chicken and a T-shirt, right? And we give them that's our consideration. That's our consideration. They give that to us. We vote for them, and then them get a salary of I don't know how many millions of dollars them get, right? And then to provide service, they get paid to ensure service delivery. Service delivery doesn't get done, and then they hold on to their salary. So I don't see that deal. I don't see how we can.
That's not why them get paid though.
But
them get paid only because they hold the position.
Yeah,
not the job. Because
but
if it was for the job, then they wouldn't get any pay.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't see how you can make a deal like that. I don't see how you can say, I will take 5,000, right? And then that's it. I get no more money from you for the next 4.5 years, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get paid. And guess what? You get paid out of some of the money where you give me, the 5,000 where you give me, you have to put that back into the system so that you can get paid. And you get paid millions every year, not millions for the whole, not like $1 million for a 4-year period. What the salary them get now? What? 10 million, 12 million? I don't know what them get now. But them get that.
Talking about the politicians?
Yes, MPs.
No, man, they wasn't the increase effective back in July?
Yeah.
How much is it?
So they're getting 20 million.
Okay. So you get so that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how Jamaican people can make such a deal. You take $5,000 for give a man a $20 million a year job. And him supposed to work for you and him do nothing for you. And you make him get that for 4 years and then him come back to you and give another 5,000 and say, vote for me. And you vote for him and give him another $20 million a year job. I don't understand that deal.
Well, gentlemen, that is politics in Jamaica fire, It's corrupt. And I don't think it's just unique to Jamaica. There is a movement throughout the Americas right now. You see Donald Trump here in Brazil. He had an experience there. You have that. A sort of rough and tough politics, corrupted. But guess what? Amid all of this, we see democratic forces coming back to power, like in Guatemala. We see democratic forces coming back into office and all sort of things. So all is not lost. My caution is that let us take into consideration the reality that we are dealing with. It's one thing for us to say this should be done, that should be done, and what have you. But the reality is that some people just don't know how to do it, and they are fearful of stepping outside. I'm telling you, brethren, it's
well, you said this
fear. Fear is real.
No, you're saying this is a reality we're dealing with. I'm saying we can make our reality. We can chart our course. And I understand there are basically two reasons why this is going on. One is it's not affecting certain people, so they're not speaking up because they don't speak up because they're afraid that it might, the blowback, the consequences. And they're like, look, I'm fine, so I'm not gonna make any waves. The other one is fear. You fear that, hey, if I come out and I say something, then my life might be in jeopardy. So one is care. The other one is fear. Care about it because it's not affecting you. And the other one is I'm fearful, so if I'm not gonna do it. So we have to make the reality and think about it like this, Michael. And this is how I think about it. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We stand on the shoulders of people who never thought about self. And if they thought about it, it was sacrifice. So that we could end up in a platform like this and talk about the issues, because there were times when we couldn't do this. There were times when we have to go hide and do them things, right? So that's why I'm saying, if those people did that for us, what are we doing for the future? We're supposed to just take it and just say, boy, I saw the thing set, and there's nothing we can do. No. If it means we have to make sacrifice to ensure change, then that's what we'll have to do. I'm prepared to make that sacrifice.
The Jamaican people been making sacrifice for over 300 years now.
So what?
The Jamaican people
Mhm.
have been making sacrifice for over 300 years now, you know. We make with blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, but not but not the kind of lately. It's not the kind of sacrifice that our ancestors provided. Not the same kind of sacrifice. Not
Okay.
the same kind of. Our sacrifice now is apathy. We would just say, that's what the thing said. There's nothing we can do about it. That's the sacrifice we make. It's all
So,
about self now.
That's
right?
not
I'm saying,
sacrifice, though.
well,
But
That's
with
not
that in,
sacrifice.
with that in
When
mind,
you
Yeah,
spoke of before is sacrifice. That's not sacrifice.
yeah, but with that in
Yeah,
mind,
but-
I want the idea that you put forward. Can you manage that in terms of tracking the stuff? And
What's that?
Patrick, remember the idea you put forward about tracking where we are, what have we finished, what topics,
Oh, okay.
and Patrick, can you focus on making some connection
Yeah, I
in
can
terms
work.
of
Can
getting
work
some
something
guests?
out. I can work
Yeah.
something out and we address it. Yeah.
You know, I want to put into practice the suggestion. I just don't want to leave it out there, you know, so we can move forward because people, this is what is sacrifice is about. On a Sunday evening like this, we are sitting here talking. This is sacrifice, you know. But the reality is that we are operating in a very corrupt space, very, very corrupt, and people will go to any ends to protect them feeding tree.
and we supposed to go to any ends to make sure so that them don't have that feeding tree.
All right, I agree. On that note, I want to thank the listeners. Thank you. I think we had a very calm and easy discussion. Cover a lot of topics. And we're going to do it all over again next Sunday. So
More updates.
remember, when you're not listening to us, you should tune in to Ratigan on Saturdays at 3 o'clock and
Indeed.
Saturday night,
Saturday night,
Midnight.
transform from
when
an
the rest-
agitator to a DJ on Saturday night. Play some of the sweetest soul music.
No. You're not listening. You're not listening.
No,
Then
no.
and we're not listening.
No, but I'm telling you, when I listen,
The
Well,
last
listen,
3
I
weeks
listen-
all reggae music. The last
yeah,
3
but
weeks.
I just couple nights, man, and I said, damn, this taking back to the 70s. So, the stacks and the image, and I said, damn. But did you realize?
No. Him daddy would real oldies last night. Real
Patrick, that listen.
raw oldies.
Raw wilderness. Why I go sleep? I go sleep, Bridget. But Raygan, you have to keep it up, Bridget. And I really hope that the Jamaican people fall in line with the Legal Defense Foundation, because with all this said and done, people can stay back home and talk, but from our efforts, and the leadership of Ratigan, we now have one Jamaican Legal Defense Fund. And that is a first in Jamaican people's story, and something that we should celebrate. One suggestion I want to make to Ratigan, and probably that's how we can help, is to write up one Jamaican Legal Defense Fund, make graffiti and spread them out all over the island, so it is on the name of the Jamaican people.
Yeah.
What is that? One Jamaican
Legal Defense Foundation.
Foundation.
Yes, the website will be up this week. And then
Yeah.
we'll get involved in other things too. Like for example, we get involved with the with this Governor General and his proclamation of states of emergency. So we wrote to the King. So what happened?
Good.
That letter will be on the website because people have been asking for it. And I've said to people, listen, somebody said to me, why don't you have signatures to the letter, and then we get like 1,000 signatures on it, and then we send it off? And I said, no, because that's one letter with 1,000 signatures. They can throw that in the garbage. What I need is 1,000 letters with 1,000 signatures. Make them throw 1,000 letters.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one of the things that we're involved with. And I'm gonna do a program on the Constitution and the real bro God. It's gonna be called Who's the Real Bro God? And will he kind of step up and be acknowledged. And we're going to go through the Constitution and lay out to the various provisions who the real bro God is in Jamaica. So you can understand.
Well, I can't wait for that one.
You're going to do that over how many episodes?
No, we can't do it in one episode, man. We can't do it in one episode.
You can't do that in one episode.
With the Constitution, all right, watch.
We'll get to
I can't wait for, until that one arrives, because I know it's going to get to some folks.
And you know what, Patrick? You're right. It's not going to be difficult for doing that one. We may have to spread it out over 2 or 3. But when it's over, people will understand where the real power is in Jamaica. They'll understand it.
Yeah, because just to deal with the definition alone, right? For school them around the definition of the Constitution, it's gonna be one program.
Well,
right, just that alone.
Right. Until next week, brothers, we do it all over again, and thank you all for a lovely and lively discussion. All right, same time next week.
Yes.
All right.
In a half hour we talk.
All right, cool, no problem. All
right. Take care, man.
All right, Mike. All right, last.
All right, brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Respect.